Good morning, evening, afternoon, I'm tatocat. Welcome to my channel. Today we're playing Echoes, Lucid9 Fangame. Previously, we got the monies to go on a quest to Mega Mart. And, we're buying things that are not ketchup or seaweed flavored, apparently. At least not seaweed flavored ice cream. And that's pretty much where we left off in our quest. Anyway. Conservatively, this cell has 30 people in it, including staff. 2-liter bottles are generally the cheapest choice for soft drinks, and picking up 20 of those should probably do the trick. An even distribution of flavors is probably the best option. Let's go with 5 bottles of Mesa-Cola, 5 bottles of Mess-Zero, 5 bottles of Spirit, and 5 bottles of Dr. Tab. Sure hope they change the recipe of the former to, since they got their names sitting on the bottom shelf, largely untouched, are several flavors of New Pop, Way Forward's line of healthy soft drinks. Out of curiosity, I decide to examine the label. There has to be a reason that very few people have bought these. Aside from the price tag, it doesn't seem too bad of a choice. Sweetened with fair trade agave syrup, vitamin-enriched hypoallergenic, 96% organic ingredients, non-carcinogenic. Apparently, gives you less cancer than competing brands is a selling point now. It's not like anyone going to care if they do get cancer, though. Most of the city's population lives short lives thanks to the prohibitive cost of healthcare and a police force that loves to administer the death penalty without an execution date. At least getting shot in the head is better than a life without parole or an hour-long potassium chloride injection without anesthesia. I never thought I'd see the day when suicide by cop was preferable to rehabilitation, but here we are. Anyway, 20 bottles total at an average cost of $150 in each should leave me with 7,000 in. Yep. To spend on everything else. 10 bags of chips should be enough. I doubt anyone is going to eat any more than that. After allocating the remaining 2,000 in towards a heap of chocolate-covered diabetes sticks and other delicacies, I finally have a cart chock full of the worst, most delicious junk food I can find. Hippocrates would be proud. Hippocrates. There we go. Hippocrates would be proud. I turn the cart around and proceed towards the checkout, passing by the liquor aisle along the way to pick up 2 bottles of Jack Menard's Tennessee bourbon. Given that I'd rather not get accused of misusing corporate funds, it's probably best that I pay for these with my own money. As expected, the cashier glances at me with confusion, but looks away as soon as he sees the crest on my arm. Life is fairly efficient. Life is fairly efficient is when you're feared by the entire community. Maybe the terrorize the people approach has some merit. However, if it does, it's likely a small amount, less than even my faith in humanity. Despite being laden with 15 full grocery bags, I managed to make it back to the administration and management complex without much difficulty. Despite my arms not tiring from the wait, I can't help but wonder if that return trip was as awkward for everyone else as it was for me. I take up fewer seats doing the splits on them than carrying these fucking things. Any idea why your commander sent you to do this, ma'am? Your guess is as good as mine, Tony. Fair enough, ma'am. You sure you don't need any help carrying these things? I'm good. Thanks for the offer, though. Attention, all citizens. It's 4:59 p.m. From multiple directions, the tranquil silence of District 2 is broken in an instant by the piercing tone of the government's PA system. When the voice on the other end is calm, it is amplified to the point of making an air raid siren seem quiet by comparison. The National News Network will begin transmitting your daily civil security briefing in 62 seconds. For the safety of yourself and your family, please stand by to receive this transmission. After the usual thinly veiled threat, the images on every nearby billboard are temporarily replaced with a countdown graphic. It must not be audio only anymore. I wonder what kind of bullshit they have their propagandists spouting today. No? Oh, it's cool. It's a real countdown. Okay, let's see. Is it going to move on its own? The Ministry of Social Order has mandated the as the countdown clock strikes 0, the comment of the broadcast is marked by the commencement of the broadcast is marked by the 4 notes of Isamu's national theme. I want to see if I can read that. I didn't read this font very fast because it's too big for me. maintain the national news network, service by briefing for imminent viewing, all of the... Well, okay. I get it. Basically, watch this. The news anthem. A newscaster with a clenched jaw and stiff posture bows towards the camera, her image superimposed onto backdrop of the black and crimson emblem of Isamu's national news network. Good evening. After 5 days of ongoing investigation into several reportedly destroyed buildings in District 6, the Department of Corporate Intelligence and Security has finally released a complete report to the public. I love the amount of effort that's going into these newscasting things. Like, not really reading this, and it's probably some important information down here. Kazahaya Combine awards 650 million in settlement to 8-year-old shot while reaching for toy gun. The fuck? Of course. Damn. Like stuff like that, which you wouldn't necessarily pay attention to because it's just going by. But like, that's how it is, and this takes effort, and I appreciate the detail of that. A map of District 6 appears next to the newscaster, complete with 7 marked and labeled points. Below each is a photograph depicting the charred, nearly unrecognizable remains of the buildings that once stood there. This looks an awful lot like evidence of a terror attack. Either the DCIS agent I encountered in District 6 was bullshitting me, or her superior had a different opinion on how to approach this issue. Judging from just how much DCIS loves people with different opinions, it's probably the former. According to report 2040-04-25B6, the investigation found a disturbing pattern in the 7 buildings destroyed. Each were first-party factories and distribution outlets belonging to Limnitscape, Way Forward, and Kazahaya Combine. I'm going to turn this music down a little bit. In addition to disruptions in Black Star's security's surveillance grid prior to each of these incidents, the residue of fluorine-based cryo-incendiary compound was detected in the wreckage of each of the 7 sites. While the cause of these incidents was formerly unknown, the aforementioned evidence has offered proof to confirm the suspicions of many. What occurred here was in no uncertain terms an act of terror. While many of you may find this information disturbing, the National News Network wishes to remind you that Isamu is no nation for traitors, ingrates, or vandals. While many of you may have read that already. Several hours ago, in fact, one of these vandals was foolish enough to claim responsibility for the work of their organization through an illegally placed broadcasting device. This vile band of criminals and dissidents has taken to calling themselves the Isamu Liberation Front. But anyone loyal to our great nation will see them for what they are: defectives and undesirables, existing only to be purged. Today, our nation fights to exterminate the hive-minded hordes of communist Asia and the criminal scum that infests and pollutes the jungles of Central America with their practices of extortion and human trafficking. During the trying times of the Great Recession, Isamu did the same to the looters, agitators, and seditionists that foolishly chose to challenge our legitimate authority. Once we put them to death, we were able to rise above poverty and restore order in a savage world that cried out to be saved from its own ignorance. War is our tradition. Victory is our birthright. Wow. So, the extremists view like where they like hacked into the broadcasting thing that the Liberation Front did, and what they're doing here, I feel like they're very similar. And feeling. Yeah. I seen really no difference except for one has more authority than the other. The face of our enemy does not matter. All who challenge our birthright must be destroyed. While Kazahaya Combine once again attempts to mask their abject failure of the security forces, the Department of Corporate Intelligence and Security has redoubled its efforts in the district, relocating over 100 agents and 40,000 D1A interceptors to the area. These high-altitude military-grade reconnaissance UAVs are not only certain to prevent incidents like these from occurring again, but to provide affirmation to the degenerate malcontents of Black Star Security that incompetence of this magnitude will not be tolerated. Those responsible for these atrocities will be hunted down and killed, as well as anyone who knowingly aids or grants shelter to them. The Isamu meritocracy urges you to rise to the occasion and do your part in apprehending these enemies of the state. If you have any information on acts of terror or mass dissent occurring in your area, please report them to the DCIS Civil Safety Hotline by dialing 4094094499 or filing a claim online at www.dcis.isus/report. So this is a puppy riding the unicorn sort of distraction. So instead of people being afraid of a virus, they're now going to look for terrorists, and now they're like, Black Star's evil. And they're still not thinking about this virus. They're thinking about people attacking them. I bet there's going to be some sort of reward for fighting terrorists too. Anyone who provides information that assists in capturing the capture of a confirmed ILF affiliate will be eligible to claim 500,000 yen bounty from the Department of Corporate Intelligence and Security. The backdrop of the... yeah. Of course people are going to be more interested in that than a virus that's happening that only poor people seem to be getting. The backdrop of the map begins to fade out, replaced in short order by an image of several Black Star troops standing guard outside. Wait, is that... While District 6 is no stranger to violent civil unrest, the same cannot be said for District 3, the corporate autonomous zone of Kazahaya Combine. Despite its infamy as an unscrupulous den of vice and filth peddling, crime and violence, unrest have long since been declared practically non-existent in the district by Black Star security representatives. Despite its infamy and an unscrupulous in the words of these representatives, the alleged safety of District 3 is thanks to the vigilance, strict moral code, and ideological cohesion of their parent corporation. But how safe is it really? I'm assuming you're going to tell us an extremely biased point of view. Seizing with poorly concealed spite, the newscaster slowly gestures toward the backdrop with a shaky arm and an open palm. As she does this, the image behind her is replaced with one of almost too gruesome to look at. When Black Star Security lost contact with one of their munitions plants in District 3, dozens of rank and file troops were sent to the facility to secure it. The slaughter you see before you was a result of their efforts. On screen and buried partially by rubble are the contorted, lifeless bodies of 29 Black Star heavy infantry personnel, each entombed in a suit of armor that lies pockmarked with the kind of charred entry wound that only a directed energy weapon could leave behind. And those are just the visible ones. Today, the National News Network has discovered that not only is Black Star home district not safe from their organization's own ineptitude, but that their forces cannot even be trusted to fight alongside one another. A blurry, silent recording takes up residence on the screen. More specifically, it's a recording of a squad of 3 descending from a helicopter, which transitions to a first-person body camera recording. Sounds familiar. This footage, which was submitted anonymously to the National News Network Executive Board, details an aerial insertion of one heavily armed Black Star Sentinel and 2 unknown escorts to the munitions plant. While these recently defeated guards appear to be armored in a standard Black Star security configuration, multiple civilian workers at the munitions plant have come forward and alleged that while they remained unharmed, they were taken hostage by a General Yoshida. As the Black Star Sentinel and their armored compatriots, companions, proceeded further into the building, the former took point and became locked in an unconventional yet spirited sword duel. The 2 unknown fighters then proceeded to open fire on and disable 2 mounted gun installations that prevented them from advancing. Playback pauses as the camera zooms in on one of the armored figures. The exposure of the footage is still too low for me to make out any color. What I can make out, however, is the shape of a drawn dagger. For maximum visibility, the following footage has been slowed by a factor of 100 and augmented by its donor through the addition of a false color frequency-sensitive LiDAR overlay. Our post-production team would like to apologize in advance for the lack of quality. ... Oh, sorry. ... Exclamation mark. I feel like this news seems very biased. I feel like it's like like one of those celebrity magazines that you just say like so and so celebrity drunk again, look at their underwear. And that's what this is, but for news. They're like, I know we're awful, but look, these people are worse. Color and light explodes onto the screen, revealing everything. My armor, my movements, even the crest emblazoned on its surface. Someone's been busy. When investigators from the Department of Corporate Intelligence and Security arrived to comb through the aftermath, they discovered the way forward had deployed 2 operatives of the Special Services Division to assist the attacking Black Star forces. For the first time in Isamu's history, WayForward has confirmed their involvement in a paramilitary operation outside of District 2. While this involvement is sanctioned by meritocracy law as an allied corporate operation, the actions taken today by the traditionally reclusive and unmilitaristic corporation have shocked many. More shocking than this, however, the footage resumes its playback in slow motion, barely even 1 frame per second. A blade is thrust forward and sinks into armor, once and again. Well, so much for making me look like a hero, huh? Kinda look like a monster. And I can't imagine how this is going to make me look better. And I was supposed to have this super cool party for this mission. Now my party's gonna fail. Oh. I also want to know who submitted that footage. Slandering us like that. How dare they? Oh yeah, we'll see how this all goes.